So next up, micro living, doing more with less. What happens? We live in San Francisco, and what happens when we're running out of space, but we still need to live somehow, right? Like that's a big problem.
How are we defining micro living? I mean, it can mean a lot of different things. I mean, you could refer to the fact that we're running out of space, but you could also refer to the fact that we're running out of resources in a lot of ways.
Oh, that is
like you look at.
I mean, both.
The
both,
movement
right?
to, people in our generation drive a hell of a lot less than people in our parents' generation simply because gas costs so much.
I disagree. I think your sample size is just smaller, and you live in San Francisco.
Totally true. If you look at the numbers, our generation drives significantly less than
I don't know if I go that far. The number said in the last 2 years, people are driving less than any previous year in the last 100 years. So we've actually hit peak driving, and we're coming down from peak driving right now.
Here, let me move this back.
I think in terms of total miles driven, our generation is probably so far above our parents.
No, the numbers are literally our generation. Like, I'm 100% sure about this.
Okay, so how do you do more with less? Like actually, you have a pretty big space, right?
Well, yeah. So I used to live in Milwaukee, and I brought all my big furniture, and I needed a big space.
San Francisco.
Right. I mean, if you could see my place, America, internet.
It's you can see his place. I mean, it's basically
it is this futon, and then I have the sprawling mansion behind the cameras.
Yeah.
What is it, like 400 or 500 square feet?
Yeah, 7,000.
400, 500,000.
It's huge. It's actually huge.
This is the closet behind the pool.
The best.
Yeah.
Actually, San Francisco's it's a pain. I pay $1,900 for one bedroom, which is actually cheap. I know my mom's probably having a heart attack that I pay that much money. Because I think we were thinking about renting out one of our condos in one of the nicest places in Houston at $2,000 to $2,500 a month, right? And that's Houston, Texas, and I'm not sure many people want to live there as opposed to San Francisco.
Didn't they just approve in this city apartments that were 225 square feet?
Yeah, so there are like the coffin apartments, right? Yeah. Like less than less. Right. And
apartments. That's what they call them.
Apartments.
Apartments.
So, like let's say I only had half of this. Things would need to be modular, right? Obviously, maybe half of my house comes out and is converted into like a workshop. Like, how can I do more? 3D printing would be awesome if things were disposable. If I could print out a couch and then fold it up and throw it away after I had my party, or a dinner table out of cardboard.
But how is that cheaper? How is that more cost effective? How does that use less stuff? If you're truly
my argument is doing more with less space.
Well, you'd have to recycle that stuff in your own space.
That's
sure.
That's theoretically a possibility if everything's made from the same polymer. Your couch is made from the same thing.
Well, I've actually seen people take the plastic sporks and forks. Melt it down and then use it in their 3D printers, for instance.
And a big,
exactly.
Make a big spork.
Yeah, make a big spork.
Yeah, I guess the problem with that question though is where the hell are you going to stick your 3D printer?
Right.
If your 3D printer is kicking out couches, where's your 3D printer?
Small couches. I have small friends. Maybe there's a vending machine. I thought about a 3D printing vending machine. I think that would be cool. I think that would be useful in a situation like this, where you go to a place in your neighborhood, submit a job. Wait for the queue, it emails you, you go pick up your couch.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be the next step, 3D printing. Yeah, once you can order stuff like that.
You heard it here first, America.
I think there's a problem with 3D printing in that the quality of the stuff that you get from it's going to be really different.
Yeah.
And what you find is, in a lot of the stuff that you manufacture or machine, you can have alloys and surfaces that are very interesting. So if you look at the iPhone, the glass surface on the iPhone, your fingers slide over it very smoothly. I really doubt in our lifetimes that we're going to be able to 3D print a surface like that.
In our lifetimes?
I disagree. I would completely disagree.
I'd say in the next 2 decades, I don't think it'll happen. But I think when I'm 60, maybe.
I think
you have to be able to print at the molecular level in your home. And I think the energy requirements for that for each U.S. citizen would be pretty high.
But I don't think that, what I think will happen is instead of trying to print glass, we'll have an acrylic polymer that's pretty damn similar that we can print in that way. That's less energy requirement and works just as well.
I would just see it as the printers.
I'd be willing to take that long bet.
Okay, 2 decades, 1 Bitcoin.
I would see the printers.
I better buy the Bitcoin now.
Well, yeah, so hold on. Bitcoin, it's probably going to go up, maybe.
I would see the printers as I don't think the printers are going to get to the point where they can make stuff at that level, but I could see them having stuff integrated to be able to do finishing after the printing process. So the printer prints out close and then uses the same kind of methods in a smaller kind of way to finish the thing off.
The problem is that for a lot of these finishes, you need to apply harsh chemicals to them. And especially with the paranoia about 3D printers and chemical things, I really doubt that average citizens are going to get access to the chemical processes they need to create these finishes.
Which is why I don't think they're going to exist in the house.
So you're going to, instead of the FedEx store, you're going to have a 3D printer store.
Absolutely, 100%, 1,000% yes.
I still think it'll be cheaper to get it from, some other place in the world that can use the chemicals inappropriately.
Well, I think that's kind of what he's saying is, there will be one place in the city, the Costco downtown, instead of, it'll just get bulk materials brought instead of built things, and then it'll have stuff built in.
And even if we're worried about the chemicals required to make a device like that, what will happen is we'll find a new way to make those parts that don't require those chemicals.
But what about things like batteries, where
new battery materials?
But a lot of the chemicals...
New dielectrics, what?
A lot of the chemicals in batteries come from, the mountains in China, for instance. Yeah. And we don't have the mineral deposits here in the States to get it. So we buy these in arbitrage from various countries around the world.
Sure.
And, you're just not going to have that in your backyard.
Yeah, I don't know enough about battery technology.
But honestly, this topic is kind of forward-thinking, right? And we're not saying that we're going to be relying on the technologies that we have today in order to make these happen. We're hoping that those materials will change.
So I think there's things that we're going to be able to do, right? The Long Now Foundation just had a talk about this about 2 months ago. And you're going to be
you
able
have to plug the Long Now Foundation.
Where do I do that? The Long Now Foundation?
Yeah.
Longnow.org.
Well, it won't work for you. Hold on. Longnow.org.
So, there, Chris Henderson gave a presentation talking about all these things.
Yeah,
and
I don't know if you've watched enough episodes to realize it never pops up.
No, I know. So we're going to be able to 3D print figurines for our dollhouses. We're going to be able to do 3D print action figures for our kids. Instead of going to the store and buying a toy train, we'll probably be able to print out a toy train that rolls on the ground. But
you don't
complex
see computers coming out of 3D.
Yeah, a computer or a refrigerator with the fluorides that are in there, or a microwave that has high level capacitance going on to create the waves. There's just going to be a whole mess of things that we're just not going to do because it's not cost efficient to do it in the home.
Yeah.
Printing a circuit board, a chip that's got 6 or 7 or 10 or 15 layers to it, you're just not going to do it at home.
Well, yeah,
the precision necessary to do it.
Yeah,
right?
and the environments used to print things like CPUs are ridiculous.
A lot of times right now we leverage the fact that China has shit regulations on the way that they manage their environment, and so a lot of these industrial processes happen there. I actually think after the world kind of gets fed up with this, a lot of these industrial processes are going to have to happen exoplanet, outside of the Earth.
Yeah, I see it moving in that direction too. Again, the question though is if that's going to be in our lifetime or not.
Well, I mean, you've got planetary resources that's going to be mining asteroids for these rare minerals, and then they could manufacture the things up in space.
Is asteroid mining even close to being a reality?
Yes.
So by 2016,
We have the technology.
I'm still waiting for the diamond asteroid.
Well, by 2016, we're supposed to bring one asteroid into orbit around Earth.
Or the Big Mac asteroid. I'd mine the shit out of that.
The what?
Big Macs.
Big Mac?
Asteroid.
Sorry,
Big
bleep that out.
Delicious
Big Mac.
Big Mac on the moon? What?
Yeah. Okay, so doing more with less. Where else can we go? We did 3D printing.
So I think the interesting thing about the lifestyle, the way people are moving back towards urban environments, away from suburbs and stuff like that, is also partially because not necessarily that people have a less of a desire to have things, But in general, the things people want are becoming digitized in a lot of ways. Like, people no longer need, to have a house because they don't have 1,000 books and 1,000 records and 1,000 movies that
They have one
bookshelves.
iPod that they
Yeah,
put
they
everything
have
on.
a laptop or an iPod.
With their infinite storage,
And
right?
so I think that greatly decreases the amount of space people require. Like, I don't need all of that stuff. My parents had all that stuff. I don't have it at all. I don't need a house to store it in the first place. My recreation is often online, playing video games and stuff like that. Even video games. I no longer have a bookshelf full of video games that I buy because I get them all over Steam now.
So you think people wanted larger places to hold more stuff?
I think people needed larger places to hold stuff.
Okay.